Right, guys, welcome back to more James Allcott. We need to talk about Ryan Gravenberch, and we need to talk about the different roles that he played in this game. So many changes from Arne Slot, and he got the job done. I think I can say that. They got a draw. Now, I actually put them, I had to do a prediction for Super 6. I thought Fulham might cause a surprise here, because I think this Liverpool side is really, really good. But are they sort of unbeatable? Absolutely not. And I think this is a Fulham team that can kind of go and beat anyone. But of course, what happened was Robertson gets himself sent off after just 11 minutes. And so the first thing I've got to say before we get into all the tactical changes, the brave tactical changes that Arne Slot made in this game and how it worked and why he changed it again, in my opinion. We'll get into that. But we've got to talk about Robertson, I think, first and foremost. By the way, this is the More James Allcott channel. Welcome. If this is the first time you've seen me on here, it is pretty new. And this is a place where we can have a conversation. And therefore, let's ask our first question, which is, Robertson, Liverpool fans, how are you feeling about Robertson as a Liverpool player, as a starter? And should you be looking for a replacement? I think, first and foremost, when you think of the... Well, let's have a look at the substitutes, shall we? Shall we? The substitutes for Liverpool, that in itself is a bit of a problem. Obviously, got Shimaka's not available for you, but that was quite a weak back line when it comes to the substitutes bench. You had Kwanzaa to come on. Endo, I guess you could have chucked in there. Otherwise, you're kind of struggling, let's be honest. And so when it comes to Robertson, Arne Slot has said that he was trying to run through something, and we know what that something is. He was absolutely taken out in the first 45 seconds of this game by Diop. He made a run through here. Diop absolutely took him out. And it's one of those ones where, that early in a game, Robertson didn't get to the ball. So from that point of view, if Robertson gets the ball clearly, I think Diop is gone. What's weird about this one is that actually Diop doesn't get there first either. The ball just kind of, Robertson misses it. It hits Diop, but Diop absolutely takes Robertson out. So he gets booked for it. So I think it's just about the right decision. But when you see what happens to Robertson a little bit later on, obviously him getting sent off, it's one where you kind of look back at that one and go, well, hang on a minute, that doesn't totally feel fair either. So I can understand the sort of grimaces and frustration when it comes to that with Robertson. Robertson kept saying, I had the ball, we had the ball. Yeah, but you had a bad touch, so you weren't really under control of the ball. So I'm okay with that one being a sending off. I do think Diop, if that happens 20 minutes into the game, I think he probably goes. I think he does probably go. But so Robertson goes. And so then Arne Slot's got a lot of decisions to make. Now, looking further afield and just finishing on this Robertson point, do you think this is his last season? Do you think you need to go and get a player that's better? And in terms of getting a player that is better, is this man right here, Robinson, the man you need to go and get? He has been phenomenal for a good few seasons now. And if we do just move him over for a second, because this might be quite interesting, you move him over to this side. First of all, he caused huge problems. Like his pace, obviously got himself 2 assists. First one at the back post for Pereira. Second one, a fantastic underlapping run that I think caused a substitution. But Robertson's energy is absolutely phenomenal, and the stats back it up. I do have a question about him, again, for Liverpool fans. How do you feel about the idea of him working at Liverpool? But let's look at his stats here. Defensive actions, 12. Duels won, 8. Chances created, 4. So both ends of the pitch. Interceptions, first for that. Tackles won, 3 of his 5. Accurate crosses, 3 of his 4. 2 assists in the game. And locked down Mo Salah. Did I say it? I didn't say it, but it was said on our Twitter account. If you do want to get us up to 10k, we're trying to get to that target by the end of the year. So please do follow us at JLA_FC. We do Twitter Spaces regularly every Sunday, pretty much. So if you want that bit of experience, maybe even sort of being able to voice your opinions when it comes to football, you know this community is important to me, and giving you guys opportunities, that's a great opportunity. Get on it. Give your opinion, learn from how you spoke, if you're into that kind of thing, or just get involved regardless. You know, that's what we want it to be. We want it to be inclusive. I know how smart you guys are, so I want you to be included at all times. Right, so Robinson on this left-hand side. What's interesting is, technically, is he good enough? Technically, when a team is dominating the game, high up, in this, really sort of blocking in a team, his bursts of pace, and his technical ability, is he good enough to step in here? No, but you'd be wasting his assets anyway. But what I like about him at Liverpool is the fact that often they're quite happy to sort of be comfortable and kind of hold on to the ball here. And then sometimes they are looking for that runner in behind into this area here. So someone like Robertson is a lovely little decoy. And also, what we saw was, and we've all been there, sometimes someone makes a run because they know they can eat you alive. So I think in games, there's moments where even running from deep, he might make that run first. And here's a little something I do a lot of the times. When you're watching a game, if you slow down the game, you can see them thinking, players thinking. So, for example, I think there was a chance for Jota in this game. And if you slow it down, you see him move before other players move. And that comes from sort of thinking of what could happen first. And often that can sort of create a decision for someone else in that moment. And also for the defending team, it's like, oh, go away. Robinson is one of those go away players. It's like, leave me alone. Because he's happy to make that underlapping run, that overlapping run, those bursting runs. And so for what Liverpool have right now, and if they're able to keep a hold of someone like Alexander-Arnold, I could see a moment where he kind of makes that Forrest Gump charge, and that ping could be brilliant. Or Gakpo sort of tucks inside, and then and then Robinson makes those runs. Is he technically good enough? That's my only question. And he's former Everton. Are you okay with that? Let me know how you feel about that in the comments down below. Right, what I'm going to do now is, we'll keep both teams on here. So, in terms of the game, what did Arne Slot do to get around the situation here? Well, of course, he's not got Robertson on the pitch. So the first thing he did was he moved, and Virgil van Dijk was initially on that side, as he always is, and Robertson was there as well. What he did was he moved Gomez over to this left-hand side. And I think two players deserve a lot of credit, and it takes a village, doesn't it, to win a title. And so having players that can play in different positions, but also I think these days, players that are happy to step into different positions, that's a really, really important thing for a team, especially I think when you go down to 10 men. And I thought Gomez and, of course, Gravenberch were absolutely integral in doing that. So Gomez went over to that left-hand side. Virgil van Dijk stepped into the middle. Gravenberch stepped into this sort of quarterback role. And they stayed with a 4. And I'm missing a player, aren't I? I knew I would be. Here you go, Jones. It's because I've been mucking about. Don't worry, guys. He's there now. So he had Jones in there. And what they did was, well, initially, actually, they tried to get Gakpo to play as a bit of a wing-back. But it did not work really at all. Arne Slot spoke in his post-match talking about how, it just didn't really, really work with a back 3 of Van Dijk, Gravenberch. And actually, this is the initial move. It was this, and trying to have wing-backs. And then, it looked, I think Arne Slot said, it looked good on the tactics board, but it didn't look good in reality. So they went back to a back 4, and again, the versatility of the team was really useful here. I thought Gravenberch stepped into this role incredibly well. And what I think is really important to say here is this space that he was kind of, losing, because he's so comfortable, he can step into it. And I think what's incredible here is that if you think of the position that we thought Gravenberch was, which was an 8, and actually what we've been lauding him for, which is the ability to go from a 6 and do that little turn or whatever it might be, and then almost kind of become an 8, which allows other players to be higher up and go into different positions as well, even though he starts from that position. Him doing it here this time is something that we've not really focused on or spoken about. But in terms of the sort of completeness of a player, this is absolutely phenomenal. I thought the team settled really well. And also I thought what was really important was players sort of stepped into different positions. So Gomez kind of stepped into certain lines, or Jones would step deeper, or Szoboszlai would step in to help if he needed to, or Alexander-Arnold would step in if needed to, and they could work round as well. So everyone's kind of comfortable, and there was this sort of one space in the middle that was always kind of available, I guess. And so in terms of having a bit of protection in the middle of the pitch, that sort of came from the team all working together. I think the other thing that played into their hands quite well, Jimenez, not the quickest. And in terms of Wilson, Iwobi, dribblers, aren't they? Dribblers. Didn't have Traore on the pitch. Pereira, again, bit of a dribbler as well. So they're not players that are kind of going to really stretch the back line of these two too much. And so it allowed Liverpool to control the game and squeeze the game quite a bit, actually. And let's have a look over here, because I thought the momentum bar was interesting, because once Robertson has gone, really you want to kind of keep it calm and carry on and have some form of control. And so there wasn't too much going on. And in fact, as you can see, Liverpool having some stronger moments of momentum. Now, Fulham should be having more moments than this, but of being away from home. But also the changes that were made, I thought made a massive, massive difference and allowed Liverpool to get back into the game. So they got themselves back into the game, and then they looked to change it again. And I thought this was interesting, because Núñez came on for... And look, you've got to be able to change your team up. And again, this is, the fact that Diaz has been playing as a centre forward recently has been interesting. And actually, he didn't really play in that centre area that much, although he had a header he should have scored. JaackMaate came off, obviously ran into the ground. Núñez came on, and he's obviously so important for the energy that he can bring to the team. And then the other one that was changed was Jones came off, Quansah came on. Not in midfield, here. So it allowed Gravenberch to get back into midfield. And he retained that 3 this time. You got Diaz here, but you got Alexander-Arnold, and he wanted to allow Alexander-Arnold to kind of step into midfield as well a little bit more. But I think between that 70th minute and then the 79th minute, the goal came, and the goal came from Robertson. And we've spoken about the runs that he's made. He made a run all the way through before getting his cross in. Of course, they'd made some changes themselves here, so the players aren't exactly correct. But what he did was he was the only threat in terms of stretching this Liverpool team throughout the game, really, in terms of the out-and-out pace that he had. And by Alexander-Arnold kind of vacating that area, stepping in here, which he does, but was doing more so once that change had been made, it meant that it left that opportunity for Robertson to make that darting run, and they got the second goal from it. So again, Arne Slot kind of saw that and made changes quickly, which I thought, again, was brilliant. And it led to the goal, but it also lent on Gravenberch once again. Alexander-Arnold came off. Jota came on. Szoboszlai came off. And Harvey Elliott came on. And what this did, it put Gravenberch here. And I don't think it sort of alleviated this too much, because actually, if we go to the average positions, I think you'll probably see Harvey Elliott played incredibly wide in this game. Let me just get to it. Here we go. He played very, very wide. But what's amazing here is this. Check this out. So once the substitutions are made, this shows how important Gravenberch was, because there was kind of no midfield, because it was about Gravenberch stepping into midfield. And there's a great chance where Szoboszlai nutmegs someone, then plays the ball out wide. But the initial moment is Salah throwing it to Gravenberch, who stepped from centre-back into midfield to get it going. So he had that freedom to do that. But there's an amazing challenge that he makes over on this left-hand side, covering Robertson, who again was able to stretch the play for them. But as you can see here, by the end of it, you've got Quansah, Virgil van Dijk, Robertson obviously off, Gomez, as we were talking about, stepping into different areas to help in that second line in case the team needed it. But Gravenberch being crucial in terms of stepping forward, and Harvey Elliott really staying wide a lot of the time to try and give them an opportunity. So a really vast area of the pitch, and they kind of went for it. They worked really hard as well. Jota stepping back into these little pockets here, you can see as well, to try and help the team out. Darwin Núñez not getting on the ball too much, but working hard for the team, and Luis Diaz initially in that centre forward position, but then moving over to the left-hand side. But you can see there from those average positions how important Gravenberch was, because they kind of had to go for it. And it was one where, great pass, I think it was from Gomez, playing the ball through. But that bravery to bring Elliott on, get yourself enough players high up the pitch, retain some triangles, get a couple of bodies knocking about, let Darwin Núñez do his thing, and Jota with a lovely little turn and a great finish at the end of it. But Gravenberch, in terms of pop him here and then stepping back into midfield, I don't think you can overstate how huge that was for the team. They essentially went 3-1-5-ish, or 3-1-1 out here, 4. Really, really interesting stuff. But again, Gomez being able to step in here allowed to give them the balance when the ball, and almost kind of, I guess, cut off the team, or cut off the pitch more importantly, so that they weren't kind of hurt. So the area where they could be in trouble was an area like that when the ball was on this side of the pitch, of course. So this man here, can I just say, is he the player of the year so far? I think he probably won't get it because someone like Salah would, and Salah gets the assist. But Salah was poor today overall. But he does what he does. And I'm not having to go at Salah. I think he's phenomenal. It's a beautiful cross from that area that we talk about all the time. This area here, so difficult to deal with the crosses from there. JaackMaate getting the back post and doing really well. But Gravenberch, talk to me. Player of the season so far, in terms of what he's able to offer you. He can play centre-back, quarterback, 6, 8. A 6 who turns into an 8. A centre-back who turns into a 6. Huge point for Liverpool. Huge point. We'll see what happens with the Chelsea game, of course. But there's going to be ups and downs this season. And the fact that I think you got out of there with a point against a very good Fulham side, especially with Arsenal not being able to pick up the points, it's one where, you can turn your nose up at it and go, we should be beating these teams. But that was a really, really strong point. Let me know how you're feeling about it. Are you deflated, or are you feeling okay about it? And let me know about the changes that he made here, and Robertson as well. Let's keep talking.